begin this Tuesday tune-up by telling you a little story. It's a story about a little girl who lived in the backcountry around the turn of the century, 1900. And she had reached the age of 10 and she had never been to a circus. So one day a poster went up about a traveling circus that would be in town the following weekend. Well, needless to say, she was absolutely ecstatic. She ran home and she said to her dad, "Can I go to the circus?" The family was poor, but the father sensed how important this was to her. And so he said, "If you have your chores done early Saturday morning, I'll make sure you have the money to go." Well, come Saturday morning, the chores were done, and the girl, dressed in her very best, was at the breakfast table. And her father reached in his overalls and pulled out a few coins. Well, it was the most money she had ever had. And her father said, "You be careful with that money." Well, she was so excited that her feet barely touched the ground, and she dashed her way into town. And as she got to the edge of the town, she noticed that people were lined up on the streets. And she wondered, what's all this about? What is everyone looking at? And there in the distance, she could see the circus parade. Well, it was the most spectacular thing she had ever seen. There were exotic animals in cages, musicians, dancers, and all kinds of clowns with floppy shoes and brightly painted faces. It was incredible. The little girl reached into her pocket and took out her coins and gave them to the last clown who passed by. "Thank you," he said. And she turned around and she went home, never knowing that she had only seen the preview and never really been to the circus. Unfortunately, I think that story is a metaphor for the way many of us live our lives. We allow ourselves to get a glimpse, maybe even stand close, but for whatever reason, we don't allow ourselves to go any further. And so we never really get to experience the real thing. Sometimes we just don't know any better. We're like the little girl, she had never been to a circus, so she really believed that she had been to one. But most of the time we're just so caught up in the busyness of our lives, and so we don't allow ourselves the time to find out if maybe there is more to see. My friends, this coming Sunday is Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week. This is the holiest of weeks for all of us who follow Jesus. And it's called Holy Week for a reason. The intent is that it be a week-long pilgrimage for us. The intent is that we set aside a week of our lives every year, a week away from the life as usual, business as usual, in order to journey with our Master to the sacred space that we call the Paschal Mystery. We don't need anything to go on this pilgrimage except a real yearning to move our faith to a higher level, to a deeper level. Many Christians, most really, will only be bystanders during Holy Week. I've done that many times. They'll come to church on Palm Sunday and then on Easter Sunday. Some will only come on Easter Sunday. And just like the little girl, they're going to think they've experienced the real thing. But in reality, see, they only had a glimpse. You see, it's the pilgrimage that is the main event. That's the real thing. So I encourage you, if you've never experienced a full Holy Week, to do so this year. Make the pilgrimage with the faithful here at Epiphany and with faithful Christians around the world. And you know what's so great is now we have technology. So if we can't make it in person to all Holy Week services, at least we can watch online. We'll be journeying with Master as he spends his last days with his disciples. We'll be reminded of his angst about what he knew was in store for him, his concern that his disciples, out of fear, might not stay together, his knowledge and disappointment that one of them would actually betray him. We will hear a recount of Master washing the feet of his disciples, instructing them to wash one another's feet. And so we will be actually washing each other's feet. And if that isn't something you've experienced before and you're not really too sure about it, well, just come and watch. We'll also relive with Jesus the hours before his arrest. You know, he asked his disciples to stay awake. Can you stay awake with me 1 hour, he asked. We will witness what power and evil can do, what it did to a beautiful man whose message was only about God's perfect, unconditional love and how he willingly surrendered to the cross. And of course, finally, our pilgrimage comes to its ultimate glory at Easter. So I encourage you, don't be a bystander this year. Whether you are with us online or in person, I hope at least you'll mark off the time every day and create for yourself a real Holy Week. You can read the gospel lessons for Holy Week by going to lectionarypage.net. You can get a schedule of our in-person services by going to our website, nvepiphany.org. And of course, we will be streaming all of the services. So my friends, I wish you a very beautiful, peaceful Holy Week.